King Fu here. Right, we're gonna get back into these lists, yeah. Top 10 martial arts set pieces, one-on-one version. Yeah, we're gonna do the one-on-ones, right? Before I start, I'm gonna give an honorable mention to Rocky 3. Yeah, I had it in the top 10, but the reason why I took it out is because I found an entrant that's actually like martial arts. I mean, people can debate that boxing is not a martial art and it's a sport, so I took it out. But Rocky 3 club, I think, yeah, I'd say definitely like the second fight, like when he comes back and Rocky wins the fight at the end against Clubber Lang. I just really like the way that they showed how his boxing improved when he learned stuff from Apollo Creed. A lot of people like the Drago fight better than the Clubber Lang fight, but I feel with the Drago fight, the reason why I don't like it is because he like regressed, like his fighting skills went down. It's like he took away everything that he learned from Apollo Creed and just started just taking hits to the head again. And I like that they addressed that because he suffers like severe brain damage. Well, not like brain damage where he ends up like he can't function in life, but it affects him. That Drago fight affects him. So I like how they deal with that in the rest of the movies. But it was just a fight that he regressed from everything he learned from Creed. Just you know what I mean? So that's why I like the Clubber Lang one better, because it shows what he learned, it applies to the match. So that's an honorable mention. Right, let's get into this list. Number 1, Drive. Mark Dacascos's best movie. Now, I don't know if people really know about Drive, but basically it's about a Chinese man and a black dude that work together to try to help each other get through their life. I think his name's Toby, Dacascos' character. Toby, he has had a bio-engine implant into his chest, and it helps him have faster reflexes. He fights better, he fights harder, he fights longer, he's faster and all that, and he's turbocharged. And he accosts Kareem Hardison's character and is like, look, I need you to help me get from one side of the country to the other. And they're gonna they start going through adventures and stuff. So one of the kind of fights that I'm really not really into these days is the evil twin fight, where just the bad guy at the end is just a evil version of the good guy. It's just the evil twin. But in this case, the guy who plays the advanced model of the turbo drive, Masaya Kato, the advanced model is really good. He's played really well. He has enough characteristics to feel, different, and without saying too much. It's not like he's trying too hard to be this evil. Do you know what I mean? It's not hammed up too much. It's very subtle. It's very slick, but he's definitely a much more like aggressive and dangerous killer than Toby, who's trying. Not really. He's just trying to get out of the situation. He only kills when he has to, but ultimately he's trying to run. And but when he has to face off the advanced model at the end, that fight's really well done. Really good wire fighting. A lot of people don't really like wire fighting because it goes over the top, and that's because of films like Charlie's Angels, where the actors really can't sell the wires. They really just you can just tell. You know what I mean? With Drive, it's much more tactfully used, and it's and they don't use it all the time. Matt Dacascos, he has abilities, you know what I mean? So he uses his abilities, you know what I mean? It's not everything wire. And Masaya Kato, really good actor. Not very well known in America. Not very much movies that he's done over here. He was in Godzilla, but it's a small role. Yeah, there's not much else. Matt Dacascos, however, you can Google up. He's been in a lot of movies. He was the henchman in John Wick. He was the villain. He's not played many villains. Ooh, he was in Cradle to the Grave, the Jet Li movie at the end. But that movie is the action in that But Drive, Matt Dacascos' best movie, man. And he shows out at the end. Really well done fight. The heart punch is just sick. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, you'll love that one. Next up, we have True Legend, Vincent Zhao and Andy On. Now, Andy On is on Special ID. He's the villain of Special ID. If anybody's seen that Donnie Yen movie, that's a bad boy. But that's Andy On. And Vincent Zhao is the latest actor to be famous for playing as Wong Fei Hong in movies. But he went through the 90s being like the guy that just wouldn't quite get the big roles. It was like, Donnie Yen was on the come up and Jet Li was the guy. So Vincent Zhao was like the number 3 in that generation of that style, of kung fu movies. So he was never really getting them roles. But True Legend, he plays the role of Beggar Sue. Now, Beggar Sue is a character that is in he is in The Drunken Master. He is Jackie Chan, who plays Wong Fei Hong. He's Jackie Chan's teacher in that, Beggar Sue. And so a very legendary vagabond character. And this movie, True Legend, is the origin of Beggar Sue. Now, ironically, Beggar Sue is a Drunken Master, right? But ironically, this goes into before Drunken Master. So, like, before he starts taking on that style. So, his style in this is much more aggressive. It's more like a Tiger Claw style. That's what Beggar Sue's using. But, and then Andy On, who's like his stepbrother, he uses the 5 Venom style, 5 Venom fists. Now, it's not done in the same way as in the 5 Deadly Venoms, where it's the snake style and the centipede and the mantis. It's not done in that way. It's actually done in a way of where he injects venom into his own like hands. Like he's got like scorpion venom, cobra venom, all this venom he just absorbs into his hands, and his hands just turn black. And basically, if he grabs you and he just like injects venom like into your body. And so that's how they use it. And so this is like the big showdown where they have to face off. It's not even the last fight in the movie, but it's got that much intensity. It's absolutely fire. There's a bit where they fall into a well and they have to use like the gecko technique to they get both their legs and hands to the sides of the well so they can climb back up the well. It's really well done. Yung Wo Ping, master choreographer, we all know his name, and so he like, I like Yung Wo Ping because he really likes aggression. You know what I mean? He really makes the actors sell that. So it's absolutely marvelous. It's absolutely marvelous, this fight. But yeah, I can watch it over and over again. And getting into Yuan Wong Ping, The Matrix, number 3. I mean, it's Neo and it's Smith. You can't take away, I mean, oh, come on now, you all know. And if you don't know, I mean, there's people out there that haven't seen The Matrix, you know what I mean? But yeah, Neo versus Smith, man, it's a really well done fight scene. Do you know what I mean? It's got all the intensity it needs, you know what I mean? Power punches, the wires are done tastefully. They really make the actors, The Matrix being one of like the first movies where, Hollywood actors were put through a real martial arts regime to fight in the Hong Kong style, you know what I mean? And they really showed out. And for someone like Keanu Reeves, who had been doing action movies, so he was a bit more he was prepared for, how to invest. But with someone like Hugo Weaving now, I don't know his career before The Matrix, but I know that he has openly said that training that he had to do was the most grueling experience of his life, and I don't think he's ever put himself back into that kind of situation where he'd have to train that hard to do action in a movie. I think that in my personal experience, like the only people that I've really heard that they've gone through a martial arts movie and they would never do that again is Hugo Weaving and John Saxon. When John Saxon did Enter the Dragon and he did his Bolo fight, he said after that he was like, I will never put myself in an action movie of that magnitude again. Do you know what I'm saying? Anything like that, he was just not doing. Do you know what I mean? And thankfully, he put himself in the right kind of movie. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm managing to make these. Ooh, did I catch the fly? Am I Mr. Miyagi? Nah. I'm managing to make these roll out into one fight feed into the next. So, from speaking from Hugo Weaving to John Saxon, we're getting into number 4. Now, I still didn't catch it. Number 4. You see, it's a Bruce Lee one. Now, I was going to put Way of the Dragon because it's the iconic fighting scene. It's what people say. It's the most well captured Bruce Lee fight. Do you know what I mean? Like it's perfect. It's Bruce and Chuck Norris in the Coliseum, man, going at it. Do you know what I mean? But to be honest, it doesn't. I must have got it then. It didn't impact me. Like, it's iconic. But if we're talking about what impacted me, it has to be Enter the Dragon, like Lee versus O'Hara, man. Bruce Lee versus Bob Wall. And I mean, and I said that when I was doing these lists that I wasn't gonna bring into these lists anything that that I put into the top 10 list, because Enter the Dragon is in my top 10 list of martial arts movies. And I might have even cheated a bit in True Legend in there. I have to check my list to see if I said True Legend in there. But I'm gonna just, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go back to Enter the Dragon. Like, how Bruce Lee moves in that movie is it's just incredible. It's like when he starts off with when they're at the standoff and it gives him that jab and just floors him with the jab. It was just like that stunt alone. It's kind of like you have to wonder, like, how did they do that stunt? What timing did they implement? Because he can't have just hit him, because he would have mashed him up. Like, he would have mashed him up. There's no way they would have been able to carry on with the scene by actually just hitting him. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You can't do that. Not with the way that was done. So it's just, so it's, how did they do it? Do you know what I mean? And what I like about that scene, because really with that scene, it breaks my Steven Seagal rule of, you know, I don't like people that just don't get hurt. They don't have to face no adversity. In this way, it's an exception to the rule, because the way Bruce Lee did it was just so, like, convincing. It just felt like nothing that O'Hara will be able to do could beat him. Do you know what I mean? He just sold it that it was just like, nah, this guy is just miles better than him. He's much more motivated. He killed his sister and he wasn't going to kill you, but then you try to pick up the bottle and go on dumb so you get the stomp. But everything leading up to that, the kicks, when it kicked him into the crowd, you know, when the stunt doubles, Bruce Lee had a stunt double for acrobatics. I had his name and I forgot it, but basically I can tell you, it's the guy who does the Tai Chi in Kung Fu Hustle. It's the husband, yeah, who has the flexible body. He was Bruce Lee's acrobatic stunt double, and Bruce Lee had plans for him to be his permanent stunt double in Hollywood movies, because he was able to sell Bruce Lee stunts. He was able to, like, move and have characteristics of Bruce Lee as he was doing stunts. So Bruce Lee had big plans for that guy. But you know Bruce Lee, and now we don't have him. So but yeah, man, number 3. Yeah, number 4, that's number 4 is yeah, Bruce Lee versus Bob Wall. And we got on to number 5. The night comes for us. Julia Stell versus Hannah Al-Rasheed. Now, this is the second part of a fight, because this is actually a 2-on-1 fight. Yeah, but when you see Julia Stell and Hannah Al-Rasheed after her girlfriend gets taken out with the necktie, woof. You get Hannah Al-Rasheed. Julia Stell is Hammer Girl in Raid 2. So if you've seen Raid 2, you know that she can sell fights. Hannah Al-Rasheed is a very mysterious actress. I really want to look up her life story of how she got to where she is, because she's actually from England. I'm not even sure what nationality is, but I'm imagining she's half white. Yeah, she's got a really interesting story on how she actually ended up working in Indonesia. But she gets into this movie and she basically plays the trope of the albino killer. You know, when you've got the really pale skin, blonde hair, you know what I mean? Doesn't say too much, do you know what I mean? Like, she's got a few lines, but she don't really say too much, but she's psycho. She's got that psycho killer thing. This fight is just some, like, this is some sickness. The Night Comes For Us in general is a sick movie. I know, like, I would love to imagine that the guys that are making the new Mortal Kombat movie hired the people that are doing The Night Comes For Us to do the combat for the Mortal Kombat movie. Because these guys have got it. The Night Comes For Us is a very, very violent, very, very gruesome movie. It goes off in that movie. It goes off, and this film, like this fight, it keeps it going. Do you know what I mean? It keeps the violence going. It keeps the gore going. It keeps the dismemberment going. There's a bit where they actually start fighting, and they're like falling. They start fighting over like this pool of dead bodies that's been batched of earlier, and they're just fighting on top of them. Do you know what I mean? So like, and there's a lot of dead bodies, so it's gruesome. Yeah, very well done. We'll move on to Revenger. Revenge is on Netflix right now. I mean, Night Comes For Us is on Netflix right now. Go see it. Revenger is on Netflix right now. Hey, listen. I know we talked about cuties before, but I am not team cancel Netflix. If you keep your Netflix, keep your Netflix. You know what I mean? But just don't watch that movie. But that's another thing. Revenger. See it if you still got your Netflix, yeah? Bruce Khan is a little known stuntman, and acting, he's not done much acting, and this is actually his first major role. Do you know what I mean? And I can honestly say he is the only person that I've seen that is doing justice to the name Bruce after Bruce Lee. You know, after Bruce Lee, there was a lot of Bruces that just came out and started doing Kung Fu, putting Bruce whatever in front of their name. Bruce Khan, at 52, he's doing his own movie at 52 years old. Listen, he has definitely earned the name. You know what I mean? And Revenge is a really, really, really well-made movie. All the fights on there, like, Bruce is a very, very convincing, like, martial arts actor. Like, them moves look powerful. And the end fight against Park Sun, it's just, I love it. I love the fight. Because they really look like they're going at it. I'm pretty sure, like, because the villain's got, like, bandages on his head because of disfigurement and stuff, and I'm pretty sure that they put that on his head, so if he had to take some strikes to the head, that he will be able to, because some of them moves just look too raw for them to not be full contact. And yeah, that fight, really see it, like, it's just really well done. Bit of weapons in there as well, bit of grappling, well acted, like, it's very convincing. We're gonna go into Daggers A. Now, this is what we're on to now. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. We're on 7. Yeah, we're on 7. Daggers A. Now, Daggers A is another very little well-known Hong Kong movie. And Alan Chui Chong Sang he's not a very well-known actor, and he's the lead in this. And he's in it, and he's good, and he's got a very healthy career. So when you see him in this movie, he plays a man that goes around to different parts of his province looking for the best teachers so he can learn different styles. But coincidentally, there's an assassin in this province that is trying to target these teachers and kill them. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's quite contrived and convenient, but it brings Wilson Tong as the villain to the table. Now, Wilson Tong is, I think I can honestly say that he is my favorite actor in the 70s and 80s old Hong Kong, like, Shaw Brothers style era movies. You know what I mean? Like, I can honestly say that he is my favorite actor. But I have not seen everything, and I need to see more. I've seen this movie, Daggers A, and I just love this movie because he plays the assassin and he's got like 8 knives. That's his weapon. He's got 8 knives like on his body on a vest, and he just uses them in different ways. And as the movie unfolds, you find it's that kind of thing of how many knives does this guy have, and the clue's in the name, but it develops like, yo, where they coming from? So that's how it goes out. But he's also in Snake in the Monkey Shadow. He's also in the 36 Chamber Shaolin. He usually plays like henchmen. In this one, he plays a main villain. And it was very interesting scene. Do you know what I mean? It's got it's very like, if you're not too a fan of the style of kung fu movies, then you know it's got all the tropes. You know what I mean? But if you are a fan, it does what it does right. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so we're getting on to number 8. Number 8 is Lethal Weapon. Riggs versus Joshua. Mel Gibson, Gary Busey. Now this is another movie where the villain is the albino killer. Now Gary Busey isn't as albino, like he's not like proper pale, whatever. But you know Gary Busey, he's supposed to have that very blonde hair, very white man, very mysterious. It only as time goes on, because he starts off very silent, and then his bosses, you're not quite sure where these mercenaries are from, and the way they sell Gary Busey in the beginning, it's almost like they wanted to sell him off like he's some mysterious European kind of killer. But then as time goes on and he starts to implement lines into the movie, as Gary Busey gets lines, you find he's one of the few albino killers that gets a lot of lines and gets to develop himself. And you find he's American, and but you know, and cool, you know, but it all gets to the end, you know what I mean? And Riggs versus Joshua, and for some reason Riggs is like, oh well, I could arrest you, but you know what I mean, let's fight first and see if you know what I mean, let's see if you can get away from me, do you know what I mean? And they just go into a big rumble. Now the reason why it's in this list is because, you know, the movie sells it off as like Mel Gibson, Riggs is like this Tai Chi killer. They sell this thing of he's a martial arts master, but he don't do that much to like really like martial arts. It ain't no Jackie Chan, you know what I mean? But what it is very, very grueling. It's very aggressive, you know, it's very well done. You get the impression that there's not too much like stunt doubles going on, and that they're actually getting in there and trying to do their thing. Gets gritty, they're fighting in the mud, and the hydrant pops off, and it's all mud, and you know, it's very well done, man. It's it gets the blood pumping that last fight, you know what I mean? And it really does the job, you know. So I think it deserves to be on anybody's top 10 list, and it's in mine. Don't need to be in anybody else's, but don't be surprised that it's in one. Do you know what I'm saying? Right, I'm getting on to like 25 minutes, you know what I mean? But so let me try to speed this up. Number 9, Rapid Fire, Brandon Lee, Al Leong. Now, Al Leong is like an 80s henchman. Like, he was in Big Trouble in Little China. He was that henchman. Before the Free Storms came in, like, he was the guy that you was fearing. He is in Die Hard. He was the Chinese guy who was like eating the candy at the bottom. Like, oh, you know what? Let me just eat that thing. Like, he was that guy. And he was in Lethal Weapon. He was Endo. He was the dude that was giving Mel Gibson the electric shock treatment. But he never really got to show out because he was more interested in just doing stunts. He may have had a chance to build a career being like getting roles, but he wasn't interested in it. He said it himself that he just wanted to do stunts. He just liked his job. So, but in Rapid Fire, he got to have a really invested screen fight with Brandon Lee. And knowing Brandon Lee, and he didn't have that many movies, you know what I mean, before what happened to him, you know what I mean, this was a movie that really showed them both out in their best light. You know what I mean? They really got to discuss choreography, and they got to really play around. And Al Leong says that it was the movie that he really got to, strut his stuff. And it shows. So give that a look. And finally, we have the Defender. Jet Li, Colin Joe. Colin Joe. That's how you say it. And Jet Li. Really interesting fight. Has a really good scenario to it where Jet Li's character Johnny he busts a gas pipe and he just lets gas leak off into the house so that as he is overpowered and surrounded by a group of people in the house, they can't shoot at him because it'll blow up the whole house. So he dispatches of a lot of them, and it leads him to Colin Jewell, who is the leader of the group. And so they get to fight, they get to strut out. A bit of wire fighting there, but not too ridiculous. They really get to show their skills, but it's just that element of the gas and having that like time is of the essence kind of scenario. It builds a bit more intensity. But someone needs to tell me how, if a gas leak is in the house, that water is going to help you save your life, because they make a big thing about drinking water while there's a gas leak in the house is going to help you survive. Please explain that one. But I didn't care. It made for a bit more suspense as the fight's going on. So, and it also had the most ridiculous like English dubbing of everything. You shot my brother 7 times. Oh yeah. It's like you could just see that it was just having to match the mouth with what he was saying. It made the villain look like a complete idiot, but it was absolutely hilarious when I was watching it with my friends. And that is my list. For anybody who's got to the end of this, in the 26 mark, yo, thank you very much for your time, man. And I will be back. I'm going to try to work on my technique so I can make these videos a bit shorter, but I'm having fun right now. You know what I mean? I'm just getting my feet wet in this thing. You know what I mean? So, thank you.